5 motorcyclists were killed and 1 pedestrian died, according to TV3's report. The website gives some tips. I think these are tips that are also repeated elsewhere about planning ahead. If you're impaired, call a taxi, use public transportation, or call a sober friend or family member to get you home safely. I checked the story talked about enforcement, so I looked to see how aggressively the Tennessee Highway Patrol, which is a division of the Department of Safety and Homeland Security, as it's called, what kind of enforcement it will be having in Hamilton County. And I could find none, according to a PDF of the May enforcement plans, which have to be by law, maybe by law, but maybe by the Hicks decision of 2001, I think. There has to be notorious publication of roadblocks. The nearest roadblock to today and to where you, my listener, are is going to take place on the 8th of the month, on May 8th, and in the Hamilton District at the Hickson and Gold Point Circle, and it will be a driver's license test. There'll be one later in the month here in Hamilton County on Suck Creek Boat Ramp, and that will be a sobriety check. Also on the same day, on out near the end of the month, on the 22nd, there'll be a sobriety check on Rossville Boulevard. So those, no one's going to remember that, so I don't even think I should bother mentioning it. But I highlight the out dates of these checkpoints to say, bravo, there are so few, and A, and then B, well, it's far enough out that you don't have to think anything of it. Of course, you have a right to not go through a traffic stop for a traffic stop erected for any purpose. You have a right to go by it, and that's why there's a requirement as part of the strict rules laid down by the Hicks decision or the Hicks opinion, strict rules that control the use of the police power for enforcement on the highways. Police power is said to be exceedingly difficult to define with precision, as to include all that's within its scope. But the Tennessee High Court has said that police power is the attribute of sovereignty by which the public policy is preserved and promoted. Public policy, of course, is a modern concept. It is the present concept of public welfare or general good. So you have law, statutes, and then you have this abstract law, this kind of a soft law that's called public policy. And that often is what politicians deal with. And of course, they deal with statutes as they write bills that become statutes. But the policy is, the word policy comes from police, right? When we say, what is the local, the foreign policy of local economy? Does local economy as an idea have a foreign policy? Well, it does, actually. Does Christianity have a foreign policy? Well, it does. And the word, though, policy implies policing. It implies a use of force, of coercive force exercised, hopefully for the benefit of all. And where is this power lodged? Well, it's lodged in the legislative branch of government, and its exercise is not intended for the courts, according to Tennessee jurisprudence in a long article about this question. There are limits upon the exercise of police power of state and local governments. However, the power is flexible and comprehensive. Of course, these terms are ones that come according to footnote 1711. It comes from the Harbison versus Knoxville Iron Company case, okay, of 1899. So some of these definitions are very old. And well, I mentioned that because I'm as I was mentioning, I'm interested in publishing today or maybe tomorrow an essay about the inverted pyramid. The inverted pyramid that is the power of the police upon the roadway. Those enforced here today in the area, not just by the Tennessee Highway Patrol, but by the Hamilton County Sheriff's Department and the Saudi Daisy Police Department, the Chattanooga Police Department, the East Ridge Police Department, and other corporations that are enforcing this power against the right to travel, but it's enforcing this authority among people who are generally considered to be licensees of the state. Well, my name is David Toulis, and our show is Nooganomics.com. just a desultory comment there. Just not sure where that was going, but I do want to get to my analysis about the inverted pyramid. An inverted pyramid of authority. Think about it this way: it's in the world of administrative law. It's based on statute, and there's an inverted pyramid that's based on a tiny point. And that point is consent, especially on the DL part, with that chart I mentioned from the Highway Patrol saying where roadblocks are going to be held. Well, one is going to be held in Hickson at Gold Point Circle under DL. That's the DL is a type of roadblock. It's the driver's license roadblock. Well, who's being targeted? Well, people who don't have driver's licenses but who are using the roads. Who are they? Or should I say, whom are they? Well, they are many people who are today celebrating this holiday. It's not this day is not Mexican Independence Day. It's another day. That's sometime in September. It's another holiday that I can't explain what it's about. But we do have highway patrolmen observing the day, even though perhaps they're not sure what it's about either. But there's this inverted pyramid. Just let me back up. We live in a system of administrative law. We live in a system where there's a parallel structure of government, where the state has risen. It has risen parallel to constitutional government and to constitutional life. So there are people who are exercising constitutional rights, and there are very few of them anymore. But they do claim these rights, and they're kind of along the side. In the body of people, most Tennesseans, most people are in the administrative realm. And if they drive as licensees. They drive because they drive under the administrative realm of government, overseen by the Department of Safety for one, and then sheriff's departments and police departments, all of whom enforce this ordinance in Title 55 of the state code. In that law, in that volume of the Tennessee Code, the Big Green Book. There is this requirement, apparently, to not use the road unless you have a driver's license, unless you're a licensee of the state. And this question has caught me. I have been caught on this question, and I'm hoping to publish something about this inverted pyramid. The inverted pyramid, again, if I didn't make it clear, is consent. The whole system, the whole state system, is balanced on consent, which is a tiny point, because consent really is not very much at all. But legally, it's everything. If you have consent, there's no offense, right? If people consent into entering a scheme with government for the operation of police power, no one can claim aught against it. No one can say, I've been wronged, right? With consent, there is no wrong. And the driver's license is just an example of how we live in our modern day in national economy. Here we are trying to live in local economy, and we're saying that it's very difficult because we're all national people. We're all living in national economy, and many of us are walking corporations. We are in fact corporations. We are not the flesh and blood beings that we thought we were. And I somehow I'm trying to figure out, how can I be more of a flesh and blood person and less of a walking entity, a walking corporation? Well, listen, if you're wanting to save money in local economy, if you are interested in local economy, think of Trade Bank of Chattanooga. We are members of Trade Bank. It's a smarter way to barter and to improve your cash flow by trading among 400 local businesses in every field. Learn more by talking with Jürgen Mutz about it. 877-2202 is the number, 877-2202. We are members and are glad to promote Trade Bank, where you buy and sell in Trade Bank dollars. Also wanted to mention the numbers guy. If you are thinking of starting a small business, or if you're a high-income individual and want tax services or accounting services, contact Eric Pelton. Eric Pelton runs E.J. Pelton Company, and of course he's a CPA, has been in that business for many years. Online, the company is ejpelton.com. 622-3156. That's 622-3156. My name is David Toulis, and our show is Nooganomics.com. And the idea of the inverted pyramid is truly one. I don't know that it's breathtaking, but it truly is important to consider how, with consent, you allow all kinds of things to be done to you, right, by your consent. You waive your rights, you waive your constitutional rights, and I don't think that you have to be you don't have to live. Well, back up for a second. Why does anybody care? Why does anybody care about living out a constitutional right? Well, because those who don't have such rights are not free. They tend not to be as prosperous, and they tend to have a kind of spiritual, well, maybe a fear. They live in fear. They live in uncertainty. They are, in fact, dependent. And the marketplace doesn't encourage that, right? The marketplace is not about dependence. It's about independence, and it's about service. It's not about thinking about how vulnerable you are and what you need to have other people do for you and what is owed to you, right? That's the national economy framework. What is owed to you? Can government fill that? And what does the marketplace need to provide you? That's consumerism, right? That's why we have obesity. That's why we have the debt crisis. That's why the national government, the federal government, reflects the ways of the people. It has, by official treasury notes, about $18 trillion in obligations, but unwritten obligations in the way of guarantees and foreign funding and so on, passing $200 trillion. There are innumerable promises that are written into the statute, which it is bound itself to honor, which are just political promises. I think mostly they're not legal promises. They're not in the treasury note market. And so we have a ballooning of debt, and our whole country is saddled with this dependence. And local economy is about trying to live outside the claim of this machine, right? This machinery, which is going on. It seems dysfunctional, but I think in many ways, since stability is the goal of the establishment, the deep state needs stability, and the political establishment needs stability. All the things that make stability and kind of tell the narrative of how things are stable, how things really work in our country, are rolling forward. Think of people who are declaring themselves in the past day to be presidential candidates. These are people who they're part of the show, right? They're part of the demonstration that we are a civilized country. We are living under the rule of law, and the people choose their president, right? They choose the direction of their own country, and they do that by taking part in elections, and that is. To me, these are important. I think in a way, and I would say vote if you have to. But there's also another way of looking at it, which is the local economy perspective, and that would declare something like this: don't blame me, I didn't vote. You see, most people have it just the other way around. They say, well, don't blame me. I voted, right? If you vote, you can't be blamed for what's happening. Well, I think it may just be the other way around. It may just be that if we participate in the franchise, if we participate in you might say the sacrament of being in a democratic republic, if we participate in the political sacrament of the vote, then we are really to blame for what happens, because in fact the man we voted for, the man whose approval we grant, he is going up there, and he becomes then not our representative to the state, but he becomes the state's representative to us, right? He is the face that the state has, the deep state behind him, and then of course he's the face of government. Government is the more ordinary form of the modern state, but behind it, of course, is the state. The state is a separate entity from government. Government is not the same. The state, and you ask me, well, where's that going? Well, it comes out of the concept of the modern state being a religious organization. It is a kind of a church. It is a being. It is a way of life. It is a way of thinking, a way of living, which is all encompassing. Well, think for a second about Christianity. Christianity makes a claim to be the outworking of God's dealing with men, right? In terms of the scriptures, in terms of the Bible, which is God's revelation to man, the most remarkable text ever written. It's actually a library that has been shepherded by God from the beginning, right? The record of Moses, who wrote the first books, all the way to the apostles, and that record has been preserved. The letters have been preserved. all in his providential care. Well, that God, uh, he makes a revelation and has requirements upon mankind, and wants to be worshipped, right? He wants to be honored. He wants his laws to be kept. And it is an all his is an all encompassing system. Now we know that there are many defections in Christianity against that idea. Many Christian people, in fact, are when they talk with me, they think I'm the enemy. They think that somehow I'm a Presbyterian deacon, and yet somehow I'm the enemy. They look at me with suspicion. They look somehow thinking, why are you talking about what God wants about people? Why you keep bringing up these questions about what God ordains about, let's say, laws or marriage or abortion? Why are you doing that? Somehow as if I'm dirtying up God by bringing sometimes reference to his requirements upon the state of Tennessee, or upon a county clerk or a mayor. And somehow my understanding of God's government is alienating to these Christian people, and they think somehow that I'm caring about things that really don't matter, right? Because I care about government, I care about society, I care about the family, the way laws are enforced, the way laws are written. I care about police. Should there be police or not? I think there probably shouldn't be police, and we need to let the marketplace provide an alternative. That's a non-military alternative to the solving of crimes. But the state is making a counterclaim. The state makes a counterclaim against the family and against society and against liberality and against the market. And my argument, you could say, is really here at Nooganomics.com is really about it's about the idea of voluntary society, and the idea that the marketplace determines where assets should be allocated, where people, where their work should be allocated, to whom they should be allocated, how they should serve other people, and so on. You saw perhaps how Governor Haslam is signing the cannabis oil bill into law. I'm looking at a printout from WKRN Nashville TV station. He signed into law the bill that legalizes the limited use of cannabis oil for medical purposes. That was yesterday. And it allows cannabis to be ingested or applied externally through oil or its vapors used like an asthma inhaler, but it doesn't allow for the recreational use of marijuana or the act of smoking it. There's a story also on the health, kind of on the health side, about another bill. There's a new law that allows for the delivery of alcohol. Again, opening up the marketplace, letting people provide services. It was prohibited for a man to ship wine to you, my listener. But now there's a provision in the Tennessee Code that allows customers to order alcohol, according to WSMV TV in Nashville. I'm looking at the printout. I think this is from WRCB TV's website. Bill 101101 was signed last week, and it allows third-party companies to deliver packaged alcohol from a licensed retailer to a customer. And the story makes reference to a business that does this. It's called Delivery Dudes. Delivery businesses qualify if at least 50% of their gross sales come from carting prepared food, according to the bill. Companies can deliver up to 1 gallon of alcohol per customer per delivery. The company plans to expand its pallet to booze. It already fulfills services in Florida and will be operating in Tennessee to do the same. Guy Stanky is the owner. He says, everyone is about convenience, and technology has driven a lot of that. Of course, that amounts to online ordering and online paying. Also a story on the TV website about TV3's website about Panera Bread. I'm a Panera Bread customer. I go every Friday morning to Panera Posse, which is a group of homeschool dads, as it turns out, that meets in the Hickson Panera Bread store. And I have a routine order. It's a small coffee and a blueberry bagel, well toasted with 3 butters. That's kind of what I always say. And I think I'm able not to say it anymore to the young women behind the counter, because they kind of know the routine. And it's the Panera Bread store. Panera is a national chain, but the store in Hickson and the others in the Chattanooga area are owned by the family that runs a grocery family out of Cleveland, Tennessee. And so it's a regional operation of that grocery family. I don't have maybe it's the White family. I'm not remembering exactly. The story on NBC News's news feed has reference to a couple of ingredients. One is azodicarbonamide, and the other one is ethoxyquin. No, ethoxyquin. Sorry, ethoxyquin is the pronunciation. And so the question is, if that's something that's often in products sold at Panera Bread, well, you should not be eating it. And this restaurant, which is called a fast casual sandwich chain, says it will remove such ingredients from its food by 2016. The chain's nearly 1,900 restaurants join a growing number of eateries, revamping their menu to be more natural. The story mentions Chipotle, that it is getting rid of genetically modified ingredients, and Kraft, Chipotle. Russell is the news director is correcting me. And Kraft says that it is swapping out artificial colorings in its macaroni and cheese in favor of paprika, annatto, and turmeric. So these are developments in the local food market, and that you have something to do with that. You, my listener, you have something to do with this because you are increasingly concerned about local food and healthy food. And I do want to encourage you to ask for that, and ask for, when you go to a store, ask, is there any locally grown food? Right? Ask about that. Make it a point if you're dealing with a corporate chain, to encourage an interest in local farmers, and then become a customer for that local farmer, maybe through the store, but maybe have to have other arrangements. Well, this is David Toulis. Our show is Nooganomics.com. Thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time. Online, hotnewstalkradio.com, and on the TuneIn app, just on your smartphone, it's Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world. News Talk 1240.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's got third. He's going for second. Earnhardt going for the lead.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is on the Motor Racing Network. Coverage continues Sunday here at Live on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
NASCAR being brought to you by River City Auto Exchange, 5503 Highway 153 in Hickson.
Check it out this Sunday live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Hot News Talk 1240.
When my brother and I opened the first Jets Pizza, we believed if we made the best pizza, customers would find us. So we made fresh dough each day, used fresh toppings, and premium mozzarella cheese. 300-plus stores later, we still do.
Try Jet's famous 8-corner pizza with premium mozzarella cheese and one topping, now just $11.99 for a limited time only. Jet's Pizza, the best pizza in town. 3600 Hickson Pike.
Life is short. Eat better pizza.
Let's get Jets.
If you have the DTs, the shakes, because your phone is on the fritz, you have nomophobia. You need help. Your telecom doctor is in. Cell Surgeon at Northgate Mall. Cell Surgeon yanks open the ribcage of your phone, pries out the dead heart, and puts in the beating life that you lead on your cell phone. Broken screen, phone not charging, water damage, battery given out? Cell Surgeon at Northgate Mall next Old Chicago Pizza. Check us out on Facebook. Open Sunday. Cell Surgeon. We bring your phone back to life.
Pure, honest, fair, and respect. Just some words that come to mind when you think about how you want to be treated. And that's how you're treated at Rivermont Pure. Rivermont Pure in Rivermont, Chattanooga. Serving your vehicle needs for over 30 years.
Now that's a long time.
Owner-operators Charlie and Tommy always put your needs first. Yeah, go ahead. Get an estimate from one of those big guy impersonal car repair chains.
No way.
Then bring it to Tommy and Charlie at Rivermont Pure. Chances are they'll beat their price and get your vehicle back on the road faster than you can say.
Our customers come first. Hi, this is Charlie.
And I'm Tommy, owners of Rivermont Pure. We're here to serve you.
Rivermont Pure, the auto repair guys. Featuring ethanol-free fuel. Located across from Rivermont Elementary on Hickson Pike. Rivermont, Chattanooga. Rivermont Pure.
Rivermont Pure, that's where I've always gone to get my car serviced. My husband and I trust Charlie and Tommy. They always treat us right and give us a fair price. And they get the job done right the first time. Thank you, Rivermont Pure.
Call 485-3375. That's 485-3375.
Okay, you get your taxes done by a franchise, but you're just a number. Your preparer might have had a 9-week course, but he's a number 2. Are you creating prosperity for your customers and yourself? EJ Pelton clears the thick underbrush of taxes, helps make your way straight. Don't let uncertainty dampen your local economy spirit. Look, come home. Let EJ Pelton Tax Service handle your taxes. Eric Pelton is the Chattanooga and Saudi Daisy tax specialist with 37 years under his belt. Eric Pelton also does bookkeeping and accounting to help you reach your entrepreneurial and financial goals. Confidential advice, consulting, and other services. Yours for the asking. EJPelton.com. That's EJPelton.com. Call 332-3339. That's 332-3339. Think ahead.
All systems go.
Got a printing project on deadline? Advantage Printing in Brainerd offers the highest quality one-stop service in Chattanooga. Graphic design, printing, addressing. Don't create a mailer unless you first check with Alan about the latest postal hassle. He'll handle the whole thing for you. Advantage Printing. Your advantage is in our name. 4031 Brainerd Road next to the Bilo. Print digital or offset, wide format, engineering drawings, start to finish. Advantage Printing. Check the details with Alan. 629-1800. That's 629-1800.
All systems go.
Are you tired of working in corporate America, or have you recently lost your job and would like to consider owning your own business? If you are, please call me, as I can help you look at franchises or business opportunities that fit you, the economy that we're in, and the type of businesses that are right in the greater Chattanooga area. After I help my clients find the right opportunity, I also help them find the best way to finance the business, including paying yourself through the startup phase. If you would like to learn more about opportunities that may be right for you, please call me for a free assessment. My name is Bruce Krebs at the Entrepreneur Source. Phone number is 423-875-5621.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
WSDT Saudi Daisy, Chattanooga.
CBS News. I'm Harley Carnes. An ISIS radio broadcast today said the attack by 2 Muslim men on a Mohammed cartoon show and contest in Texas was only the beginning.
May Allah accept them both amongst the shuhada. And we say to America, the defender of the cross, what's coming, bi'idhnillah, will be even worse.
The broadcast referred to the 2 men who were shot dead in their assault as 2 soldiers of the caliphate. White House spokesman Josh Earnest.
This is still under investigation by the FBI and other members of the intelligence community to determine any ties or affiliations that these 2 individuals may have had with ISIL or other terrorist organizations.
The next chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff is a highly decorated general. Marine General Joseph Dunford says President Obama, or the president said, he would be a great chairman.
He's commanded Marines in the field from the platoon level to a Marine Expeditionary Force.
I'm Cammie McCormick at the Pentagon. General Dunford is expected to easily win Senate confirmation. Dunford served in Iraq during the 2003 invasion. He was also the top commander in Afghanistan. He spent 18 months there. He oversaw the ongoing drawdown of U.S. troops and the transition to an Afghan lead in combat operations. He was also still there when the elections to replace Hamid Karzai dragged on and stalled U.S. efforts to cement a deal on a continuing U.S. military presence there.
Republican presidential candidate, former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee, announced today.
In his hometown of Hope, Arkansas, Mike Huckabee pledged to fight for the working class.
I grew up blue collar, not blue blood.
The former governor and Baptist minister aims to expand his base beyond evangelicals. But as justices weigh gay marriage, he vowed he wouldn't, quote, surrender to the false god of judicial supremacy.
My friend, the Supreme Court is not the supreme being.
Overseas, Huckabee promised to conquer ISIS. And to the Ayatollahs of Iran,
hell will freeze over before they get a nuclear weapon.
Stephen Portnoy, CBS News.
Frank Freshwater escaped from an Ohio prison 56 years ago, and he's going back in. Brevard County, Florida Sheriff Major Todd Goodyear.
They went out and met with him, actually showed him a picture from 1959, asked him if he'd seen that person, and he said, I haven't seen him in a long time, but you're looking at him.
Freshwater is 79, once a prisoner at Shawshank Prison. The city of Los Angeles is suing Wells Fargo Bank. City Attorney Mike Feuer.
Opening new customer accounts, be they savings or checking or credit card accounts, without customers' authorization.
Then charging them fees and damaging their credit, they said. The bank blames a few rogue employees. Wall Street, the Dow, down 112 points. NASDAQ's off 73. Coming to New York City's Crossroads of the World, wrestling, salsa in the square. The Cuban national wrestling team will face off against the U.S. team, men and women, both freestyle and Greco-Roman. Times Square, May 21st. This is CBS News.
Our experts know tires, enough to expertly install more than 3.5 million last year. That level of service will give you more confidence than ever before, even enough to hand feed a juicy steak to a lion. Now get a $120 mail-in rebate on select tires when you use the Ford Service credit card at the Big Tire event. Ford Service. Go with confidence.
Subject to credit approval. Rebate by prepaid debit card. Other tire manufacturer rebate or offer cannot be combined with Ford Service credit card rebate or offer. See your participating Ford dealer for details through 6/30/15.
I'm Jay Farner with some great news on how you could save an average of $3,000 per year on your mortgage. Call Quicken Loans now at 800-QUICKEN to see if you qualify for the government's Home Affordable Refinance Program, or HARP. The HARP guidelines have changed. There's less paperwork and often no appraisal required. Call 800-QUICKEN. That's 800-QUICKEN, or visit QuickenLoans.com.
Important terms and conditions apply. Calls for cost information. Equal housing lender. Licensed all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Charges have been filed against a South Carolina college student after an argument escalated over housing. CBS's Jim Crisula.
22-year-old University of South Carolina student Haley King has been charged with tampering with her roommate's food. They set up a camera after several arguments and caught her spitting and putting window cleaner in their food containers. At least one of them ate the tainted food. They told investigators the incident happened after King refused to move out of their off-campus apartment. Jim Crisula, CBS News.
The oldest known complete copy of the Ten Commandments from one of the Dead Sea Scrolls is going on museum exhibit at the Israel Museum in Jerusalem. It is very brittle and is typically stored securely in a pitch-dark, climate-controlled facility, but for 2 weeks, it'll be brought out into the light for people to see. The Ten Commandments, called by the curator the universal principle of ethics. Harley Carnes, CBS News.
Hi, here's your delivery from
They
Staples.com.
say you can always tell a Texan.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Toulis.
There's a story about a town in Georgia that has a Christian flag. The Christian flag, as I found it on looking it up, is a white flag with a blue corner on the left side. If the pole is on the left, the flag is going to the right. The blue square is on the left, and in the square there's a red cross. That is the Christian flag. And there's a town called Cochran in the central part of the state, and officials voted to fly this flag over City Hall. The city attorney advised the members not to do that. They did, and then there was a letter, right? The letter from the Americans United for Separation of Church and State, which has its interns constantly scrolling for such combined words as flag or Christian or town, and so it has, without any effort at all, news of this event in this little town, sun-speckled little village in Georgia. And the letter went out with the usual fire and brimstone threats, and saying that it violated the First Amendment. The First Amendment, of course, is the one that we all understand is about how the federal government can't establish a religion. But it's used, it's enforced, right? The First Amendment is now something that's enforced. It's not a codification of pre-existing rights. It's something which becomes a cause of action. And there's a cause of action threatened against this town fathers of Cochran City, I think it's called, or maybe just Cochran. And then Friday, the attorney who initially said no, backed up by another scribe with a constitutional law background, convinced this body to vote 4-1 to remove that flag. And that's one. We know we're safe now that there's no Christian flag over that town, and we can all go about our business knowing securely that the First Amendment rights are being maintained. There's a story, I'm not sure how I got a hold of this, that about a professor who is named Gary Olson It's on a website in Lehigh Valley. I'm not sure where this is. It could be somewhere in New Jersey, but it's an Express Times newspaper, LehighValley.com. It sounds like it's somewhere out west. And the headline is, "Will Teach for Food the New Reality of Adjunct Professors?" And it's another picture of the deplorable state of American academia, with its bulging administrative staffs and its debt burden passing the tens of thousands in the case of many students. The adjunct pay for the median adjunct professor pay in the U.S. is $2,700 for a 3-credit course. That is unbelievably poor. At 8 courses per year, which is above a full load, then the professor earns $21,600. The official poverty rate, says Gary Olson, a very handsome, bearded, professorial-looking fellow, is for a family of 4 is $23,500 in paper money. 1/4 of adjunct workers' families receive public assistance, according to his column. Others avoid reliance on food stamps, food banks, and mounting credit card debt only by taking 2 or 3 additional low-wage jobs. I'm tempted to characterize the situation, he says, as the academic equivalent of Starbucks workers, but baristas actually earn more money and enjoy more benefits at that gay supporting company. The Walmartization of higher education is a better analogy. Hire cheap labor to cut costs. Colleges are modeling corporate America's behavior, and for identical bottom line reason. He says public assistance for low-paid workers is really a huge taxpayer subsidy to employers, allowing employers to hire low-wage workers. Walmart benefits from this public subsidy to the tune of $6.2 billion a year for its associates who are unable to support their families. Of course, Walmart wages are not intended to be support for a family. A man who has a family should be well beyond, in his calling before God and his experiences, well beyond needing to rely on an entry-level position at a major corporation. The plight of adjunct professors, who now make up 76.4% of all college faculty and teach a majority of all courses, is the shameful, dirty little secret of higher education. It's not hyperbole to name the system for what it is: labor exploitation. When I began teaching in 1974, he says 70% of faculty positions across the country were held by tenured or tenure-track professors. Today, tenure-track jobs are scarce, and positions are filled by desperate low-wage adjuncts. Concurrently, careful studies show that between 1990 and 2012, the ratio of faculty per administrator has decreased by 40%. So you're having fewer and fewer employed professors who meet with students and are supposed to be the fount of wisdom, well-read, well-researched people with things to say and things to propose, means of engaging students to use their minds and to read well. And there are fewer of those as a percentage as administrators. Many of these new administrators work to some degree on marketing the product. Salaries at the high end of this burgeoning bureaucracy are a cause of the outrageous cost of college education. That is, whereas colleges once were faculty-centered with a mission to foster critical thinking and search for the truth, many institutions now aspire to emulate 4-star resorts, competing for and catering to students as customers, not unlike any other service industry. Well, and then think also that the university to which you send your son or daughter has a speech code. It has all kinds of presumptively amoral positions on things such as premarital sex and on whether you should be able to sleep in your room with the dorm your dorm mate in the next bed that you're sharing a room. Well, you can't, because he's got his girlfriend in there, and you know what's going on, and so there you are. You've paid your rent and you can't keep the girl out. What distraction, right? What do you have to do? Go and sleep in the back seat of your car, or maybe take out some of the stuff that you've got piled up in the back seat and lean the front seat back, and maybe you can get a rough night's sleep because your roommate's got the bedroom. Well, universities are centers where there's no moral center, right? They are not universes. They're not universities. They are effectively multiversities. There's no truth, right? There's no such thing as truth to be discovered. There's simply arguments to be made and powers to be allocated and marshaled to accomplish some public policy, right? Some public policy goal or end. And the goal of our school is to make you an effective lobbyist or an effective marketer, or someone who knows how the system works, so that you can exploit that worker, that system for your benefit. And I don't know. I would say for most people, the university is a mistake. Most people who go there are wasting their family's inheritance, and of course, many of them who are borrowing to attend UTC or even Covenant College or some of these other places are they're indebting themselves in a very unfortunate and not insightful, not foresightful way, to the tune of tens of thousands of dollars, $40,000, $60,000. I did a story on Nooganomics last year of a man who came with his wife, and he and she, I believe, marshaled more than $240,000 in obligations that somehow they're supposed to be paying off working minor jobs, right? One's a librarian, and I'm not sure what the husband does, but these are people who are full of big ideas, but they are besieged by these promises to pay this artificial money back that was created with no one's sweat, right? The money that they borrowed was made without anyone having to lift a finger for it. Well, my name is David Toulis, and our show is Nooganomics.com. There's a story on TV 12 about social media, and it has important people who are on LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram and YouTube, Facebook, Periscope. I'm not been on that one. Chris Anderson, the city councilman, uses just about every platform. And he says, I represent almost 20,000 people. Most of them can't get to a city council meeting. So I'm communicating to my constituents. Here's what's happening right now in city council. The reporter has a part of her clip shows Caitlin Jones shows her with the mayor, and each one is racing to get a tweet off the keyboard. The police department has become more visible, we're told, on social media since Fred Fletcher came into office last year. The citizens of Chattanooga, he says, deserve to have information as thoroughly and as timely as we can possibly and ethically give it to them. Fire department public information officer Bruce Garner is shooting live video to the newest Periscope app. The story says we had flash flooding. And so I went live with Periscope to explain and offer the safety tip to turn around and don't drown. Very, very helpful safety tip. And passengers and drivers certainly needed that advice to avoid death there in Chattanooga. Story on Chattanooga.com about apartments being planned in Hickson, not far from here, actually. Now, we are Hot News Talk Radio, and we are at hotnewstalkradio.com. Our radio station is concerned about local economy, wants to get to provide lubrication for local economy and to make the common man come out ahead. And so what we're doing at hotnewstalkradio.com is we're having a half price window where everything that you see there, which will eventually run, in God's providence to hundreds of items, will be half price. And what we're doing is we're making arrangements for you, the listener, to be able to get things at half price, that we use the power for which we bring that lower rate by the power of leverage of our signal, right? We are here at Hot News Talk Radio, a content delivery platform, if you will. My name is David Toulis. I'm a writer, so I provide the writing part at Nooganomics.com. And we are also on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. You can watch our show live there on your television. If for some reason you're home today, infirm and not getting to the usual thing, you can turn on your television if it's connected to the internet and watch my guests and me chat about things, and that's on YouTube. It's Hot News Talk Radio is the channel, and half price now. That's our gimmick, and everything there will be half price, and we've made it possible by the power of our signal and the you might say the ideas of our platform in Hickson. I'm just saying that to say we're a Saudi Daisy station, but we're a Hickson radio station here in North Chattanooga. We consider ourselves a North Hamilton County radio platform, and I do thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time. Our show is Hot News Talk Radio and Nooganomics.com, the number 3 show. The number 1 show is Digital Drive with Russell the Kid every day during the week at noon. And after me is possibly the number 2 show that our station bears out from its tower to you, and that is Sean Hannity. And in the evening, we've got other great programs, Coast to Coast AM Over the Night Watches, and CBS Radio News and Fox Radio News as well. NASCAR. The apartments going up in Hickson are cited for all your. Oh no, sorry, I'm mispronouncing that. Euler Lane, which is when let's say you're going north, you've just passed the PetSmart and the Best Buy, right? I think there's a light there at Winding Lane. You go on down toward the Walmart shopping center. There's a left turn there at Sutton, and then just before you get to the AT&T store on the left, you're heading north toward Saudi Daisy. There's Euler Lane, Oyler, and back there is proposed a 308 apartment complex. According to a brief story at Chattanoogan.com, the property is owned by Ronald Spiker and Ben O'Daniel. The applicant for the petition, the zoning petition, is ASA Engineering. It's 20 acres, and it will have 11 buildings according to the site plans, between 3 and 4 stories in height. There'll be 15.7 dwelling units per acre, and the staff, the story says, is recommending a deferral to give the applicant time to submit detailed grading plans, a traffic study, and elevation drawings. I wanted to let you know about loving your neighbor and buying local. We think that if you shop local, you will be exercising, we might say, a charitable love of neighbor, where you're not just shopping for yourself, you're not just looking out for number 1, you're actually trading. And trading as a term encompasses the buyer and the seller. Shopping and consumption are all about just you. It's just about you. And we've had an orgy of consumption since, well, for the past 10 or 15 years, and especially since the meltdown, where there's this free money floating around, where everything is free, essentially. The interest rate is 0. The discount of future money is virtually nil. If you're among the important people, you get the free money. People like you and me, well, we have to pay something for it if we're going to borrow. But loving your neighbor and buying local is something that's it countervails that whole abstract economy concept where there is no future, right? There's no hope in that economy. And I'd like you to realize that it's very tender, it's very dysfunctional, and you should be wise to localize your perspective somehow. Localize your perspective, and if you're an investor, think in terms of investing in someone that you know, right? Someone whom you know, I should say. Now, invest as a customer in Delia's Authentic Mexican Food, right? When you are a customer, you're an investor in her business. That is to say, Maria's business. She runs Delia's Authentic Mexican Food in South Saudi Daisy. It's on Dayton Pike, right near the Thrasher Light, just north of the Thrasher Light. And she has always a rich selection, cooked to perfection, the freshest ingredients at Delia's. The special today is number 28 on the menu. Ask for it, and it's the taco platter. It's $1 off. It's chicken or beef varieties. It's $4.99. Also, if you mention the radio station to the waitress, she will give you a free iced tea. You can have one sweetened or un. And I do thank you for giving us a minute of your time. Also, just by the way, Advantage Printing, if you need printing of any kind done, Advantage is to your advantage. And that's where I get my business cards. My newsletter is processed there, the Esprit newsletter for the Homeschool Association, of which I serve as editor. And it's all done at Advantage Printing. Alan Jones would love to serve you. 629-1800, 629-1800. Now, I'm wanting to say a little bit about this inverted pyramid, and it's important to do that today on Cinco de Mayo Day, because there's a celebration, and it's thought by the police that Hispanic people are going to go around drinking. And well, I think that there are of course people of Hispanic background who will be celebratory and mistakenly get in their cars to drive around. But I think there's a lot of moderation among our immigrants here in Chattanooga, and we have a danger though, and the danger is highlighted by the Tennessee Highway Patrol report about enforcement mechanisms, driver's license stops, and so on around the state. And my argument is that there are going to be Hispanic people from Guatemala and Honduras and Mexico today who have, at their own peril, at great risk, at great cost, women who cross from Honduras through Mexico often go on birth control before they go, because they are almost certain to be raped. And yet they still come. They still come to the United States. They want to come here, and they end up in Chattanooga. They've come here at great cost. Why? Because there's more liberty and more prospect here than in their home countries. There are death squads. There are modes of corruption there. There are dangers there greater than those that they face coming here, and more greater than those that they face here. But one of the perils they face here, in my reading of the law in the past couple months, is the driver's license rule in Tennessee, which in my understanding now is a voluntary scheme. My understanding is that it's 100% voluntary, and that it operates because the state can't deal with constitutional rights. That's why we have this giant administrative scheme that runs parallel to constitutional government. The Department of Safety and Homeland Defense, which is the sponsor, if you will, of the Tennessee Highway Patrol, is an executive agency. It serves Governor Haslam, and it operates entirely in the administrative realm. How do you get into that realm? How do you come under its jurisdiction? How do you come to be the object of the exercise of police power by that agency and sheriff's departments around the state? And Chattanooga Police Department, Fred Fletcher. How do you do that? Well, by applying into the system, by application. And the statute is written to not require that. And that's my argument, though I'm reading court cases such as State versus Ballinger that suggest that, well, it really is required, and you're not free to not have one if you're going to exercise your right to travel, to move your property about, move your person about, not in commerce, right, on the public road. It's a topic that is very alive for me, though. And I hope you bear with me. I hope that you will forgive me for pursuing this issue. Why do I do it? Well, it's a matter of principle. It's a matter of liberty. If there's a liberty there, I don't want it to be obscured and hidden by misapplication of law, right? We don't want that to happen. We want there to be lawful agencies exercising lawful authority, and we don't want to make obeisance and pay dues and give honor where it's not required, only where it's required. This is David Toulis.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
If you have the DTs, the shakes, because your phone is on the fritz, you have nomophobia. You need help. Your telecom doctor is in. Cell Surgeon at Northgate Mall. Cell Surgeon yanks open the ribcage of your phone, pries out the dead heart, and puts in the beating life that you lead on your cell phone. Broken screen, phone not charging, water damage, battery given out? Cell Surgeon in Northgate Mall next to Old Chicago Pizza. Check us out on Facebook. Open Sunday. Cell Surgeon. We bring your phone back to life. We've got a table here at Delia's in Saudi Daisy, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia's spreads a rich selection: loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork, quesadillas. Every dish beautifully pictured on the menu to help us decide. Join us for lunch or dinner. We're at Delia's in Saudi Daisy on Dayton Pike near the Thrasher Light. Here's dinner. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nachos, homemade. Delia's open every day except the Lord's Day. For lunch and dinner, treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. In Saudi, call 521-7145. That's 521-7145.
Are you tired of working in corporate America, or have you recently lost your job and would like to consider owning your own business? If you are, please call me, as I can help you look at franchises or business opportunities that fit you, the economy that we're in, and the type of businesses that are right in the greater Chattanooga area. After I help my clients find the right opportunity, I also help them find the best way to finance the business, including paying yourself through the startup phase. If you would like to learn more about opportunities that may be right for you, please call me for a free assessment. My name is Bruce Krebs at the Entrepreneur Source. Phone number is 423-875-5621.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. You do not have to be living with constant pain. You need to make the choice today to enjoy a revitalized body. You deserve to live a better pain-free life. And Dr. Ross can help. At Ross Chiropractic, failure is not an option. For over 40 years, Dr. Ross, a graduate of the prestigious Palmer College of Chiropractic, prided himself in helping and healing. The Ross method of chiropractic care is unique in developing a treatment designed just for you. And Ross Chiropractic makes this promise to you. If he believes that he can't help relieve your pain, he will guide you to another health practitioner to assist you. Feel better now. You owe it to yourself. You really do. Call Dr. Ross now at 954-9591. That's 954-9591. And visit Dr. Ross at 7405 Shaliford Road, Suite 320. Ross Chiropractic, helping your body heal itself. Because when your spine's in line, you will feel fine. Call 954-9591. That's 954-9591 for Ross Chiropractic.
Do you feel better outside your home or business than in? Indoor air quality is important. Mildew, mold, smoke, water, and rodent damage are prime causes of poor indoor air quality. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals, better known as Duct Busters, cleans HVAC systems using 127 definable Duct Busters steps. Let Mark Thompson address the indoor air quality at your business to help reduce employee illnesses. Prevent fires by cleaning your dryer vents. Mark and his parents, Dick and Joan Thompson, have been building our local economy and helping local people with HVAC systems 16 years. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals. Call 876-9907. 876-9907. Ducks. Call now.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Fox News Radio. I'm Lillian Wu. A probe underway into claims by ISIS that it's behind the attack in Texas at a Prophet Muhammad event this weekend. This left 2 suspected gunmen dead and a guard injured. Mike Huckabee kicks off his presidential campaign.
The country is more polarized than ever in my lifetime.
The former Arkansas governor reaching out to social conservatives.
He needs to reach out to other groups of Republicans as well. So we talked a lot about economy, jobs, and a wide-ranging announcement, poverty, helping people earn, quote, the maximum wage instead of focusing on the minimum wage, preserving Social Security, reforming health care by focusing on cures, secure the border, then go to immigration reform.
Fox's John Roberts. And regulators say that Californians have missed the governor's water conservation target by a wide margin in March. Fox News. We report, you decide.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Toulis.
There's a story on the Intercept that says most people realize that emails and other digital communications that they once considered private now are part of their permanent record, right? You can't say anything without it being part of your permanent record. But even if they increasingly use apps, says the Intercept, that understand what they say, most people don't realize that the words they speak are not so private anymore either. Top secret documents from the archive of former NSA contractor Edward Snowden show the National Security Agency can now automatically recognize the content within phone calls by creating rough transcripts and phonetic representations that can easily be searched and stored. So in other words, the words that you speak, if you are of someone of interest, can be roughly transcribed, and then they can be searched. So all persons of interest, as they're called, can have transcripts of their communications stored by the good people. The documents show NSA analysts celebrating the development of what they call Google for Voice nearly a decade ago. Though perfect transcription of natural conversation apparently remains the holy grail among the good people, the documents describe the extensive use of keyword searching as well as computer programs designed to analyze and extract the content of voice conversations, and even use sophisticated algorithms, the story says, to flag conversations of interest. Now, of course, you are right. This is not something that's legal, especially if it's done against and upon and in the interest of people who are not the object of a judicial warrant. Right? These are illegal searches. Searches are generally, well, let's just say, in American law, searches are illegal. Okay, period. They're legal. They're made legal under exceptional circumstances, and that usually involves the affirmation under oath, under penalty of oath, to a judge by an officer or a person who knows that a crime has been committed or is being committed. And then the judge puts a judicial veil of approval. He accepts, right? He writes a warrant for a search to be conducted. He puts his own name down on the form granting the search. But here we have clearly things that are being done illegally. And that's why we here at Nooganomics.com and Hot News Talk Radio, we're a pro-government station. And I say that. I say we're a pro-government station because we really believe that government is important, and government should be a government of law. Most governments, I'd say, probably more so as you go further out from local economy, most governments and national economy are not mindful of law. They're really anarchical organizations. They're not limited by law, and maybe that's because they're not local. I think local governments sometimes can be extremely vicious. They can be very bitter toward political critics. They can go way over the top in hostile actions by council members or sheriffs, and in small towns you can have very bitter enmities that sometimes just boil over in council meetings and the abuse of police and so on. But in the national sector, where seemingly no one is watching, the idea of anarchy by the state, anarchy by state actors, is, I think, a true thing. And it's not something we look forward to thinking about, but it's been true for a long time. And it's saying it's nothing new, but we're not as some conservative groups would say in their fundraising letters, we're not about to lose our liberties, right? We're not in danger of losing our liberties. We've really lost them in many ways, and the thing we've lost them to are the routine operation of government. And so, to get back your liberties, to live as a man of some free spirit and free ideas, you have to be a belligerent claimant in person. That is to say, you're belligerent and that you fight for your rights. Claimant, you make a claim that you have a right and you do not intend to yield that right. And then in the idea of being in person is that you challenge the state actor at the moment the threat is made. So if you're being bullied by a police officer to talk about somebody else, and he's threatening you with jail time if you don't talk because you're going to be accused as an accomplice, well, he's just blowing smoke. He can lie to you through his teeth. And state actors, especially in police investigations and criminal and civil investigations, often are filled with lies about your vulnerability to them. And so you just have to be circumspect, which is to say, thoughtful and careful, not mouthing off things, not being bullied and bludgeoned into making statements that maybe aren't quite true, or maybe you're not sure about, or tattling on someone who's an innocent person being hounded by the good people. Well, if you want to save money, I want you to think about coming to hotnewstalkradio.com. Click on the half-off link, and you're going to get great deals. Hot News Talk Radio, our little station here, the great big station, actually, little in the sense that it doesn't have a lot of infrastructure, but it has a lot of digital infrastructure, terrific digital infrastructure as a media platform, but not a lot of outward show for it. If you want to save money, come to our website, hotnewstalkradio.com. we are AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, and that's the half off page, and we're going to make that a booming outlet. I've talked with numerous people in the retail sector in the past week who are very excited about it, because everything that's there that we buy, we will buy it, will be half price of what we pay for it. Okay, we're going to pay for things. We're going to put them out there on the website at the half off link, and you're going to get it at half price. Okay, and you don't have to worry about how we do that, but we are using the power of radio leverage in our public service. We take our public service obligations very seriously. And my name is David Toulis, and I do thank you for giving me a couple of minutes of your time and letting me make note of that. If you are thinking as I am that you need to be in business, such as Brett Elliott and Greg Garon are new entrepreneurs at German Auto House over on Highway 58, but you're not sure that you have an idea for a business yourself, well, you need to buy into somebody else's plan. And that means you need to contact Bruce Krebs. Call Bruce Krebs at Entrepreneur Source today. Call him today. Get on his calendar and say, Bruce, I know you're involved in the franchise business. Help me find a business that I can start. I don't have any ideas of my own. You can help me find one that would fit my background, my interest, the amount of capital I have, or the amount of capital I'm willing to raise. That I have help from my wife, and when the last child at home is so interested in helping out in the business, help me out. Bruce Krebs, Entrepreneur Source. The number is 875-5621. That's 875-5621. One of my favorite legal historians is a writer named Roger Roots, and you'll find his work at an important local website. That website is Nooganomics.com, the site for the people who matter. No, it's not a popular website at all. And that's why. And that's because people who matter go there, but not anybody else. It's not for other people. It's not for the common mass. Roger Roots is a historian, and he's written a great essay that I've serialized at this website. And one thing that he's dealing with, as we're thinking about Cinco de Mayo and the harassment of Hispanic motorists on the road, we want to think about where cops came from. And he says that cops are unconstitutional. Effectively, they are outside of the Constitution. And in his essay that I have at Nooganomics.com, you'll learn a lot. You can learn a lot. He says that our founding era constitutions gave no hint of there being any thin blue line. It did not exist. Nothing in the text of the Tennessee Constitution or the federal one enunciated any government power to fight crime at all. Right? It was not given to government to do. Crime fighting was intended as the domain of individuals. Yeah, individuals touched by crime. The original design under the American legal order was to restore a semblance of private justice. The courts were, in those days, a mere forum or avenue for private persons to attain justice from a malfeasor. Right? A malfeasor is someone who's doing a bad thing. The slow alteration of the criminal courts into a venue only for the government's claims against private persons turned the very spirit of the founders' model on its head. So you see what the courts are now? Criminal courts are very one-sided. Who's the claimant? It's always government. The government is always the actor. It's the moving party. It's constantly having the ear of the grand jury, which is supposed to represent us, right? The grand jury is supposed to represent you, and yet you, if you're a grand jury member, you're constantly giving one side of the argument, and that's the government. Sometimes, of course, you offer a no true bill, but often when you give true bills, it's always at the behest of the state. To suggest that modern policing is extra constitutional is not to imply that every aspect of police work is constitutionally improper. Okay, that's not implied by that at all. Rather, it is to say that the totality and effect of modern policing negates the meaning and the purpose of central constitutional protections that the framers intended to protect and carry forward to future generations. The view of many of our framers has been cut off. It does not live anymore. Modern style policing leaves many fundamental constitutional interests utterly unenforced, he says. Americans today are far more vulnerable to invasive searches and seizures by the state than were the Americans of 1791. The framers lived in an era in which much less of the world was in plain view of the government, and a stop and frisk would have been rare indeed. The totality of modern policing also places pedestrian and vehicle traffic at the mercy of the state, a development the framers would almost certainly have never sanctioned. These infringements result not from a single aspect of modern policing, but from the whole of modern policing's control over large domains of private life that were once policed by private citizens. And my suggestion that we think in the future of the day in which Chattanooga city government abolishes its police department. I think it will happen as we have continuing decentralization. This will be, of course, after I'm moldering in the grave, and you too, probably. But there will be new formations, a new political order, maybe even a non-political order in which police are service-minded, public-minded individual men and women who have an interest in gumshoeing, right? They have an interest in detective work. Think if you had a police department that was not a department at all, but was like Uber. Think of Uber police services. Now, here's how that would work. Men like, let's say Tex, right? Tex, our show host at Cowboy Up with Tex. He's the kind of guy who would be an Uber cop. And here's how that would work. He has a smartphone and he has a revolver. Well, okay, let's say he has an automatic. He's a big boy now. He has an automatic, a 9mm, and he's a public-minded man who wants to be involved in helping people, right? And the help he wants to give is in areas of special danger, which is to say where crimes are being committed or have been committed. And what does he do? Well, let's say there's a bank robbery, and Tex is nearby. Well, the central system says, hey, there's a robbery going on down on Market Street in the shadow of Lookout Mountain. And let's say Tex happens to be in the area because he's on errands, right? He's a contractor who lives in the St. Elmo area. He's doing some work on his daughter's house, and he just happens to be available. Okay, well, he says, I'll be there. And of course, other men are saying the same thing, and they all flock to where this bank is being attacked. And just as the first one arrives, the man is darting out from the door. He's letting it slam behind him. He's rushing toward a 1997 four-door sedan with a kind of a bang on on the fender, and he's making off. Right, he's going to cross over into Georgia. Right, he's going to go down Tennessee Avenue. Well, the good people who stop this man aren't professionals. They're just common sense, ordinary Americans who maybe some of them had military service, but they're all looking out for the public interest, and they've had a little bit of training. They're not on anybody's payroll. If they agree to take the job, they're paid, right? If Tex pushes the button and he says, I think I'm going to take this one, I've got some time on my hands, he's going to join in the chase. And he gives an hour to it, and when it's over, he gets a check in the mail from the central system because he gave an hour and expended some miles on his car. Well, we don't have to have a central police department where the officers are all military people. The whole system is organized in military formation. Rather, I propose a market formation of the policing function, and that's what we had originally in this country. There were no police departments. Roger Roots says it was a private matter. And of course, in those days too, you did not have what we call regulation. You didn't have stop signs. You didn't have rules of the road that were organized by the state and declared by the state to be the rules, right? What happened in an accident? Well, if there was an accident, you had a cause of action. If you didn't have an accident, there were no rules to be broken. Some people may have driven their horses too quickly, may not have tied down all the parts of their wagons and so on, maybe raising risks for others. But if there is not an injury, there's not a crime. That's the common law idea of crime. And when there is a crime, well, there is justice to be meted out. Of course, we don't have justice anymore. We have a man who murdered his wife and charged with second-degree murder, and he gets 20 years in prison. Well, if he murdered her, then that should be capital punishment, and that should be done with. We don't have right punishment for right for crime. We don't have equal treatment. In other words, there's no arm for arm or eye for eye or limb for limb or stripe for stripe as the Hebrew law, God's law, as given to the Hebrew people, declared it. Where if there was a crime, it had to be dealt with exactly as it was. Right, the crime is paid by the equivalent of that crime upon the perpetrator. That's what's called justice. Okay, we have kind of lost sense of what that is today, but in the old times, common law crimes were real crimes, and unless there was a body, there was no crime. You didn't have in the 1820s and 1830s in this country, you didn't have crimes where there was no real injury. You had very few paper crimes. Nowadays, we have innumerable paper crimes, many hundreds of them, even thousands of them, in federal jurisdiction, right? In international jurisdiction, where the feds alone have authority. The feds have no authority in the states. They have interstate jurisdiction and international jurisdiction, and yet they're always. Have you not seen innumerable task forces and other federal efforts in the states, in state property, right, in state land, on private property in the states where there's not distinctly jurisdiction. And they get that through the Interstate Commerce Clause, the great rubber clause of the Constitution that's been stretched beyond recognition. And so the marketplace does have answers to crime. It does have solutions. And I think we may have a continuing gang problem in Chattanooga because there's a military presence, and rather than a marketplace presence. If you had law enforcement that just worked on real crimes, solving real crimes, bringing perpetrators to justice, you would have a much better system. You wouldn't have the constant sense of conflict. A police officer, by his design, by the nature of his uniform, is a man in conflict or ready for conflict. It's all about conflict. It's all about overcoming the obstacle. It's all about he's there for warfare, and he's there for trouble, and he's not a peacemaker anymore. He's not a man who has a pacific purpose. He has a kind of quashing, abrupt, jarring military purpose. And maybe that's why the very fact we have police could be a way that the gang member is nourished in his hatred for the system, right, in his distrust of the system. And that's why there are turf battles among gang members, because they're all trying to keep their part against the man, right? The man is everywhere, and we want to keep our part as distinct from you and from him. And so it's possible that gang violence and gang jealousies are not reduced by police work, but they're actually, maybe, I propose, just put this down in pencil, maybe they are increased. And I do believe, as your host here at Nooganomics.com, David Toulis is my name, I do believe that the marketplace has solutions that have not been examined properly. And I hope that you, my listener, will think in terms of what these solutions might look like and how they might work. Think of the solution to the hotel problem, if you will, right? You go to a hotel and you have to pay 30 or 40% tax on the room that you rent, and there are huge capital investments in that building. Prices are higher than they need to be, and you don't meet real people in that town. But think of Airbnb, which is now a room sharing network in Chattanooga and many other cities across the globe, where you can spend an evening in someone's bedroom, maybe get to meet them a little bit in the parlor for an hour, chatting about your various lives and travels and so on. And you're meeting a real person, and you're spending a third or a fifth of what you would be paying at a hotel downtown. So Airbnb, the network, is saving people money, is connecting people. I read that Uber in China, in Shanghai, right? I heard this actually on NPR. In China, Uber has thousands of people who work for it, and they love their jobs because they meet people. They're connecting with humanity again. Whereas prior to their involvement as part of that traveling and ride-sharing network, they were isolated. They felt apart from the world. They felt alienated. But commonly, as they do, you were taking people about and being paid for it, and hearing their stories and laughing and and telling them things and maybe helping them. Sometimes Uber drivers help their passengers. Sometimes it's the other way around. That's the real world. That's local economy, right? In Shanghai, the great city in China with, I don't know, 15 million people. And we can have that here in Chattanooga. We have many prospects for local economy here in Chattanooga, and it needs to be more family connected, more network connected, and less. I think as time goes on, we'll see less institutional effect. Just as the Federal Reserve System is, and national government and the private borrowing sector are finding hardly any productivity anymore with new debt. We'll find that there's, in the operation of the modern state, less and less gain, less and less productivity comes out of the state, comes out of making one more taxpayer program to provide some good to, nursing moms or to old soldiers or what have you. There's so many programs that, or, retired bankers who with the gout. There are all kinds of programs that help people. And I think we're at the end of the age of the modern state. That began with, by one accounting, began with the French Revolution in the 1780s. And that the theory of the state is at an end. It's lost its steam. It's lost its power. There's less and less credibility, as Russell the Kid points out, in the modern state. So the answers have to come from people like you, my listener, you living in local economy. And wanted just to keep those things in mind as we look at the headlines. Look for my piece today, I think, and it's about the inverted pyramid. The whole pyramid of the state enforcement structure stands on a tiny point, and that is consent. Do we consent? Do we apply? Or do we somehow find our nerve and say, I'm not going to apply. I'm not going to enter into that system. That's a benefit I don't think I need. I don't think I need to be policed in that way. And I'm going to see what happens. I'm just going to see what happens. Think if there are hundreds of Mexicans, hundreds of Hondurans and Guatemalans in Chattanooga whom have had that very thought. Should I somehow get this document, or should I just try to avoid the police? The police, is sad to say, are the enemy of so many people today, especially newcomers, new people who are here in Chattanooga. Good officers, just let them go. Just forget about it. But others are going to mind the rules and bring these people to justice. Well, I think we should be forbearing, especially as I suggest, since the statute suggests that we have a voluntary driver's license system. If I'm right, then Tennessee can become a mecca for new blood, new people coming from all around the world. We need to have a show that Chattanooga is really open to new life and new blood. Strangers need to come here. We need to invite them. What can we do? What can we say to bring them here to Chattanooga? This is David Toulis. Our show is Nooganomics.com.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's got third. He's going for second. Earnhardt going for the lead.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is on the Motor Racing Network. Coverage continues Sunday.